should learn it, coming up with methodologies of how to teach and learn, but also looking at pedagogies. How are the teachers going to teach, and what are the new pedagogies? How should they teach the content that you've developed, and how should the learners indeed learn it? Now, viewers, you might also need to know the mission for this institution, to develop quality and equitable curricula and instructional materials. Instructional materials cut across textbooks, charts, visual aids, non-textbook materials and all that, to meet societal needs through research. Research is a key aspect of any curriculum center across the world, not only in Africa. Innovation and stakeholder involvement. So curricula is actually research in itself. And when we develop curricula, we develop it such that it is research-led. And for that matter, when we are working out what people should learn and taking it through the approval processes of government, we think through what should people learn and how should they learn it, basing, of course, on the different theories that are there that we learn in educational psychology, in curriculum development, but also in education per se. For example, we think about what is the underlying philosophy of this curricula that we are trying to build. What is it that what is the product? What kind of person do we want to see at the end of A level, at the end of O level, at the end of primary, at the end of nursery? We need to see what is the level of what we call cognitive growth. How has this brain grown so that it is now able to manage this content, this information, this ability? What are the abilities at each age? So whatever we package should be commensurate the age of the child. And those are some of the things that we tend to work on. The aims and objectives of this institution. And when we look at, for example, tertiary, we have been mainly working on TVET curricula. What is it that we package? Of course, we have what we call emerging trends, and things keep changing. The manner in which we design curriculum and the expectations of the world and the country are very key informants of the curriculum that we develop. For example, we base ourselves on a number of policy documents in the country to be able to say this content is going to be relevant because it will bring up the product that the country wants. Vision 2040, National Planning Authority came up with the NDP3, is very important. The white paper, the government white paper on education, is a policy document which informs us the Constitution of Uganda. For example, when I talk about the Constitution, what do I mean? And how does it inform national curricula? In the Constitution, you find the number of languages that are recognized by the country, and other aspects, respect for others or whatever is built up in the Constitution. We need to look at that and see how we manage it. When we are talking about using local languages as a medium of instruction at the lower primary, one of the things that we needed to look at, how many languages have been put in our Constitution, and how can we develop them so that they can be used as a medium of instruction, or they can be taught and people learn them because it's their constitutional right. When we say that it's a constitutional right, the curriculum developer must have that at the back of their mind and say, if we're talking about the constitutional right of somebody, what is it that you should teach the person maybe? What are the norms and the values of Uganda? What does Uganda cherish? What is it that our child should not be, if I may turn it in a simple terms? Or what is it the world is emerging and so many things are coming up? Homosexuality and others. Uganda says no. And therefore, when we are packaging the learning and teaching children about sexuality education, one of the things we are conscious about is that we must not take the direction of homosexuality here, same-sex marriage, because the country does not condone that. So we are moving with the expectations, the values, the kind of children that we want Uganda to have, and those are the future leaders, as we call it. But how do we nurture them? And in our curriculum revision is a continuous process. People think that it's a one-off, when you have it, then what? No. When you go to the university and other institutions, they revise those professors revise their curricula regularly so that they can tap into what we call emerging issues, or issues that are supposed, because curriculum is an academic work, and an academic piece of work cannot be static. It must evolve. It must also tap into the trends that are there in the world today. The world today is talking about technology. Yes, I know that sometimes our enabling environment here may not give us that 100%. But if the world is running, how is Uganda crawling to catch up with incorporating technology for our children? Maybe with the radio, if it is available, that's a technology in our own context, or the Katochi phone. So how the simplicity and the available issues that are within our own environment as Uganda become critical in us thinking about what to package for learning and how we learn it. So we look at emerging issues. There is unemployment, and it's a general cry across the world. But the curriculum down here must nurture and prepare the child to face the unknown world, for example. Therefore, when we are packaging it, we say, in case things are difficult and you cannot get a job, what is it that you can turn around? And I'm glad that's what our new lower secondary curriculum has tried to tap into and say, why don't we turn it around and make these children think about working, think about creativity. We have incorporated what we've called generic skills in this curriculum. And the generic skills are supposed to give these children what we would have loved to call life skills for our fathers. When you would wake up in the morning and say, first get a hoe and go and dig, you are teaching you how that digging is good and it's part and parcel of your own life, or washing your clothes or whatever. So we incorporated generic skills, because when we were going to review this curriculum, we found out the lower secondary curriculum, I'm now specifically referring to it as an example. When we did the labor market survey in Katwe here, where they do these hands-on things, the Katwe people said, which kind of children are you people producing with your curriculum? The children cannot even speak to us even in their own local language. They are timid. They lack self-esteem. They are not standing up to ask questions. Some of them come here and they waste our time. So the people in the Juakali industry were also pointing a finger at the kind of curriculum and what kind of child it was producing. I'm happy to note that where some of the schools have taken it up with a passion, we are getting some very good feedback from parents that the children are coming back and they are able to show that they can do something at home. They are able to tell the parents, no, don't worry, I'm going to wash the plates this time. I'm going to, but this is a project which they told us at school, I want to do it. I want to plant some seedlings. That is the kind of child that we want, a child that is active, is creative, is communicating, is asking questions, is innovative, and is also looking at technology. Some of the children have done amazing things with the little technology that they're able to be exposed to at schools, but even in the homes, even in the community. One of the things that we are still lacking, though, we want the parents to come fully on board in bringing up our children, our Ugandan children, or our children for Africa. Let the parents need to know that they have a key responsibility in seeing that the education is bringing up what I normally call a whole person. And the whole person comes back to our forefathers or our fathers even, the values, the discipline, the respect, the collaboration, the person, a child who wants to work with another one, which we have tended to lose over the years because we have concentrated on the academic. Hey, you have a degree, go back and do a master's. And we think that the person is becoming successful because he's getting a degree and maybe another degree, and I might have two masters myself, I don't know. But am I a whole person? Is a question where we have to all of us answer. Parents, don't run away from your children. Pick interest. Even if you never went to school, you can say, hey, today what did they teach you? A child shows you some ticks and you know, oh, this is what it is. Show love for what the child is learning, but also show love to the child to make it come up as a person that is useful to itself, to the family where the child belongs, to the community, that is the village. That's why we are saying, can the parents, can the community say, don't climb that tree, you'll break your limb. Instead of saying, Zemzara, this is a child for the community. Because if this child comes out with no values and skills, actually now in the new curriculum we're saying skills, even in the primary one, this child will become a liability to the country and will become a danger. One of these days, even the few elite who have read their books and they have PhDs and they are doctors, when they have built their nice houses and they will not have peace in that house if majority of the children surrounding them are missing out in what we are teaching them. The challenges, of course, we've had challenges with COVID-19, we've had challenges with making sure that we have continuity of learning, we have had aspects where we have thought we are almost losing it, but I want to thank government, I want to thank Honorable Janet Katam, Seven, our First Lady and Minister, who has continued to work with us, to guide us, to say that, look, we are now in COVID-19, but we can make something as Uganda. And I'm proud that something was able to be made and the children continued learning in whatever. So some of the challenges have affected and others, as we know. I'm happy that we are celebrating 50 years as National Curriculum Development Center. And in those 50 years, we have developed curricula, we have developed materials for the different levels, right from ECD, we have the learning framework, we have the material, we have even developed some learning materials for children, but we have also revised a number of times. We have revised the primary curriculum. We have the 1919s, and we went through the 1990 ones, which I found, which we revised in 2004, and we revised it, and now we are implementing it. But also the changes we've made with the thematic curriculum and the subject approach at primary. But now also celebrating 50 years with revisions of the lower secondary curriculum and the A-level, and a number of other achievements. I'm happy that the public is recognizing and working with us to celebrate our 50 years, which will be culminated next year in May, in June. But we will have a conference in March, which will be talking about curriculum issues and how they evolve in Africa. I've already talked about some of the achievements and activities and the challenges, our future plans and way forward. Our future plans and way forward, we are looking at continued revisions and improvements of curricula in particular, but also going digital. We are looking at integration of technology and how it can make our learning better for improved quality of curricula. We want an improved curricula. We want the quality of curricula to be improved. So we think that we are going to achieve it by looking first of all at technology, but as I said, also bringing in the parents. That's one of our future plans. How do the parents have a key role to play, even up to university? Many countries, the children are day scholars even when they are university students, because the parents have got to keep an eye to watch. So those are some of the few things that we need to do as our future plan. I want to appeal to stakeholders. Kindly support the activities of NCDC and government, the public. Because when I'm appealing to you, because when you look into this direction, you are touching what we call the heart of education. Curriculum is at the heart of education. Because when you touch it, you touch many aspects. You touch chairs, you touch where the children learn, you touch the parents, you touch whatever. So the public, we are appealing to you to support us in financially, physically, and all that, and also the students who are our key stakeholders. Kindly join us, share your views and attitudes or whatever you have so that we can incorporate it in the preparation of our activities. But I want also at this point to thank our partners, UBC in particular. You have always been with us when we are revising the primary curriculum. You walked with us that long journey. You have walked with us the journey of the lower secondary curriculum. Some stakeholders had not understood it in the beginning, but now I'm happy the feedback that is coming from the children when they come for holidays has shown that indeed there is something that we were telling you that was different, and we are now achieving it. When you talk about Kiswahili, you are looking at East African integration. You have become, unless if Uganda wants to say that they don't want to be part of the East African community, then we shall. But even if they don't want to be part, Kiswahili has been recognized as an African language. South Africa is already thinking about teaching it to its children. Then who is Uganda not to think that they need Kiswahili surely at this point in time? And when we sign those declarations with the East African community and we become part of the East African integration, then we have a language that we need that will make us fit into the East African region, because a number of countries have actually picked. So Kiswahili, before even I go to a number of countries, is already one of the languages that is spoken at BBC. That is news in Kiswahili and all those others. Kiswahili has been recognized by African Union as one of the key languages for Africa. Africa must recognize itself with a language. And some of these languages that we speak, our own languages, yes, they are important. But we need to have a language that brings the bigger picture, the umbrella, the East African context and the African context, because we have Somalia, we have Ethiopia, all those are joining the East African community. We have, and unfortunately, Uganda seems to be isolated. Because Rwanda, they speak Kiswahili, Burundi, they speak Kiswahili, Congo, which has joined recently Kiswahili, Tanzania, Kenya, and I'm sure South Sudan. Actually, South Sudan was looking at teaching it as one of the subjects in its curriculum, because I went to work in South Sudan on their curricula. So Uganda should not isolate itself by thinking that the Kiswahili was a language spoken by Anyanyas, by whoever. It's a language that is giving us a recognition as Africans, and the language gives you certain other aspects like self-esteem. So we don't want to be lost, and the only way we can harmonize ourselves and the togetherness that we are looking for is in Kiswahili. So Kiswahili is not coming to remove anybody from where you belong in a small dialect, small tribe, but it is coming to make you put you in a bigger picture of the East African context, such that you can be able to trade, you can be able to work, you can be able to fit. A lot of Kenyans are here working in our hotels and they speak Swahili. But Ugandans, when you want to go to Kenya, you find a problem of the language. Let the language not be a limitation. And it is also advantageous to be multilingual as an individual. Instructional materials, they are written by the private sector, the Uganda publishers. The Ministry of Education headquarters is in charge of buying textbooks and materials for children. And that effort, I know, has been going on. The materials are being provided. And when we change the curriculum, the content many times does not change the methodology that we are emphasizing for the teachers. So the books are being distributed in that manner. When you ask yourself a question, the parents in the old curriculum were being told to bring so many reams of paper, so many pens, so many, actually it was terrible. Because the children would be given a beginning of term test, mid of term test, end of term test. The children were not learning, but they were doing tests. And the schools were asking for reams of ruled paper, reams of photocopying paper. Children would come with, name it. Actually, the list of things the children were coming with, even in the old time, was almost equivalent to the school fees. And parents out there, listeners who are listening to me this evening, you know how hectic it is. But when a curriculum a child is being told to come with a broom for the child to learn how to use it, not to be given. Actually, even Even when the school children were coming, they would be told to bring bags of cement to build the schools, bags of cement. I'm sure that paint, tins of paint. So you have been doing it. Don't cry because it is a new curriculum and you want to read. You have been giving even more than what you have. And many times you have been crying that the teachers are the ones who end taking them up. I don't want to go into that direction. But I know that providing learning requirements, that's why I said earlier, let the parents take that responsibility. But you know that at the end of the day, your child will get a meaningful education out of it, other than being told to bring 3 reams of paper to test your child and I'm not teaching it. Chemicals, government and schools have been providing, but even you were paying for them. So what is it that is new? What is it that is new is that this time around, your own child is going to manipulate what you have provided and come back with a product to show it to you. Which product in those days were marks? Oh, beginning of term, the children should enjoy the holiday and come to learn when school opens. Not to come to learn and the first week there is a test. And many times I ask, you are giving a test on what have you taught? So there has been a gap and a mismatch. And providing materials for learning purposes, I'm sure that they are not, because we have encouraged schools and even parents, use materials that are within the environment. That's the creativity that we are creating. The leaves which are falling from the trees, can we make a cushion out of it, dry them and preserve them, and we can sit on them even at school? Can we make something out of what is the bark of the tree? So let us not go out, because somebody was telling me children are being taken to learn Luganda, so to do a project in whatever, visiting some of the sites in Uganda, but some of it has been exaggerated by our people in the schools. Let us keep it simple, keep it manageable, and we shall together do it. As I make my concluding remarks, I want to tell you that we are located on plot M838, Chambogo Hill, and our address is 7002 Kampala, Uganda. And we have our website. Please feel free to visit it, www.ncdc.go.ug. And we are also on Twitter, @ncdc.ug. I now take this opportunity to thank UBC for having given us an opportunity to air out our journey as NCDC of 50 years in existence. And I want to say that UBC, together we can, for God and my country.